I wasn't planning to write tonight. Not after the 5 p.m. deadline passed in silence. Not after another long day of search teams moving carefully through the Catalina foothills. And certainly not after watching Savannah Guthrie's second video again, hearing that steady promise, "We will pay," delivered with a calm that felt almost superhuman. But at 11:32 a.m. Eastern on February 10th, 2026, my phone rang. The voice on the other end belonged to someone I've trusted since my earliest days covering network news. "Lester spoke this morning," they said quietly. It was private, but it was about Savannah and her mom. "You need to hear this." The Lester they meant was Lester Holt, 66 years old, steady as ever, and rarely personal in public. What he shared wasn't gossip. It was context. A quiet room at 30 Rock. The conversation didn't happen on air. It took place inside a conference room at NBC headquarters at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. 5 people were present, no phones on the table, no press team, just longtime colleagues and a man who looked more tired than usual. Holt has guided viewers through pandemics, elections, and national tragedies on NBC Nightly News, but this was different. This time, the story felt close to home. He began slowly, almost carefully, as if measuring each word before releasing it. According to those in the room, his tone wasn't dramatic. It was reflective. He wasn't speculating about investigations or outcomes. He was trying to explain something more personal. Why Savannah Guthrie is navigating this crisis the way she is. "I've known this for years." Holt reportedly told the group that watching Savannah over the past 9 days has felt deeply personal. "I've anchored through more heartbreak than I can count," he said, recalling decades of interviewing families during their worst moments. But with Savannah, he explained, he sees more than composure. He sees history. He spoke about her mother, Nancy, as the foundation of Savannah's strength, not as a distant figure, but as a force. According to Holt, Nancy instilled discipline early, not harshness, but expectation. After losing her husband young, she rebuilt her life through sheer determination. That determination became the household language. Strength wasn't praised occasionally, it was required. And Savannah, as the oldest child, absorbed that lesson deeply. Composure as conditioning. Holt shared a memory from years ago during an election cycle. Savannah received a call about a family health scare. She stepped away briefly, returned within minutes, and resumed work without visible distress. When asked if she was all right, she reportedly replied, "Mom would tell me to focus on the job." Holt reflected that what many interpret as resilience may actually be reflex. Nancy, he suggested, didn't raise a daughter who processes pain in real time. She raised a daughter who compartments it, sets it aside, and keeps moving. That pattern appears again now. Savannah's structured videos thank supporters, state facts, issue appeal, resemble the order of a broadcast segment. It is in coldness, it's training. The wait before speaking observers noticed that Savannah didn't issue a public statement immediately after her mother's disappearance. Law enforcement spoke first. Days passed before she addressed the public directly. Holt reportedly connected that delay to a lesson Nancy emphasized: never react impulsively. Gather information, then respond. In crisis, that instinct becomes stronger. To the outside world, silence can feel unsettling. To Savannah, it may feel responsible. When she finally spoke, her tone was calm and deliberate. "We need to know she's alive," she said clearly. There was no visible panic. Holt suggested that this measured approach is not about optics. It's about honoring a standard set long ago. Control the message, even when you can't control the circumstances. The meaning behind "we will pay." The phrase that caught national attention was simple: "We will pay." Delivered without tremor, it sounded like a firm commitment rather than a plea. Holt reportedly noted that most families in similar situations appear visibly shaken. Tears, trembling, desperation, those are common. Savannah's tone was different, not devoid of emotion, but
contained. Holt interpreted it as negotiation language, the vocabulary of someone who believes solutions come through structure. It wasn't defiance, it was resolve. In his view, she was speaking to two audiences at once, whoever might be responsible, and her mother. "I'm handling this," the message seemed to say. "I'm strong."
The weight of expectation Holt did not describe Nancy's influence as unkind. He framed it as protective. A single mother raising 3 children after profound loss often leans into strength because survival demands it. But he also acknowledged the cost. When strength becomes the standard, vulnerability can feel like failure. Savannah, he suggested, may believe that breaking publicly would disappoint the very person she is trying to save. That belief doesn't mean she lacks emotion, it means she channels it differently. Composure can be both shield and burden. For viewers, it looks admirable. For the person carrying it, it can be exhausting. Parenting with a softer touch. Interestingly, Holt reflected on how Savannah parents her own children. He has observed warmth, openness, and emotional space in her home life. She encourages expression rather than suppression. He described it as a quiet evolution, not a rejection of her upbringing, but an adaptation. People often keep what strengthened them and soften what felt heavy. Yet in moments of crisis, old patterns reemerge. Under extreme stress, we default to early lessons. For Savannah, that lesson has always been steady forward motion. Focus on the task, solve the problem. Don't let fear take the microphone. Compassion over critique. Holt reportedly ended the conversation with a simple plea: patience. The public sees composure and draws conclusions. Some call it strength, others question it. But grief does not follow a universal script. Some people collapse outwardly, others tighten inwardly. Neither response measures love. Savannah Guthrie is navigating an unimaginable situation while under a national spotlight. Her steadiness may not be performance. It may be the only language she knows when the stakes feel unbearable. As the search continues and uncertainty stretches on, perhaps the most responsible response isn't analysis, it's compassion. Behind every carefully chosen word is a daughter hoping for her mother's safe return and carrying a lifetime of lessons about how to endure.